we're doing our 25th anniversary. What's interesting is that the basic information, the core of what we do, in 25 years has not changed. We still tell you, and have from the very first day we went on the air, to live on less than you make. You're not in Congress. In the house of the wise, there are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has. If you spend everything you make, you're a fool. I've been a fool. Some of you have been a fool. Most of us have at one time or another in our life. We still tell you to get out of debt. That's simple. Well, Dave Ramsey makes me mad. I don't like Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey this, Dave Ramsey that. Twitter and Facebook fools out there floating around. Most of them not even born yet when I started doing this show. And everybody's got an opinion. You ever notice how many broke people have opinions about money? It's like fat people having opinions about marathons. Just stupid. Just a dumb idea. You know? And I used to be a lot nicer when I first started the show. I would try to convince everyone, and I was kind, and it really upset me when someone didn't like me or was mad about something I said. And after doing this long, and 15 million books sold, and 5 million people through Financial Peace University, and 14 million of you listening here every week through one version or another of this show, I'm pretty convinced now, based on how many people have become millionaires and how many people have gotten out of debt and how many people have increased their generosity and how many people have saved their marriage that was about to fall apart over money. I'm pretty convinced now that on these money subjects, if you're upset by what I say, it's probably because you need to change. You're a whiner. If you don't agree with me on this stuff, you're what's known as wrong. Well, that's arrogant. No, not arrogant at all. It's confidence. There's a difference in confidence and arrogance. I've been doing this more than anyone else in the entire world. While you that are listening to me have been alive, there's no one else on the planet that has gotten as many people out of debt, that has caused as many people to be millionaires. No one else. Now, there's a lot of stuff I'm not good at, and there's a lot of stuff I don't know anything about. And yes, I'm not perfect. I get all of that. And this is not about me. But it's pretty aggravating after all this time that some of you are still trying to convince your friends and relatives to do stupid stuff with money. It's aggravating because when you do convince them to do stupid stuff with money, you're causing them to be broke. You are a curse in their lives. Oh, don't pay off your mortgage. Dave Ramsey doesn't know what he's talking about. Let me just tell you, sweetheart, you can get your mortgage paid off. Life doesn't get much better. You don't have a payment in the world. You've got what's known as money. The borrower is slave to the lender. And you can't sophisticate, Dave Ramsey stuff's good for broke people. It's good for regular people, but it's not good for rich people. Well, you stupid twit. What are your parents' cousins? Of course it's good for rich people. How do you think they got rich doing this stuff? And what an idiotic statement. And people just say the dumbest things. And the social media is just wonderful. I love the fact I can jump on Twitter with an idea and 800,000 people see it instantaneously. I love that. It's kind of cool. I mean, it really is. And there's a lot of fun stuff about Facebook you can do. But I'll tell you what, the other thing it's done is it's given voice. It's given people who shouldn't have an opinion a place to have one. I mean, you're living in your mother's basement writing a blog on finance. Really, you should stay off the computer, son, and get a job. Seriously. You ought to go make an income somewhere. Well, it is my job. Listen, you're 29. It's time to get out of your mother's basement, really. And, a lot of it's just clickbait. Someone trying to get, the use of my name now to lift up their ridiculous process. But here's the deal. 25 years later, still works. Get out of debt, live on less than you make, live on a written plan called a budget, save money for emergencies, for kids' college, and long-term investing to change your family tree. Be outrageously generous. For those of us that are evangelical Christians, that's a tithe, a tenth of our income at least, to our local church. It changes everything when you learn to handle money. Personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. The guy in the mirror is my problem. If I can control that guy, he can be skinny and rich. And here's what happens. No, money is not the answer to everything. These are biblical financial principles. I don't know if I agree with what Dave Ramsey says. Well, how about the Bible? Well, just, you don't have to argue with me. Look it up in the Bible, doofus. It's in there. I mean, there's nothing crazier than a crazy Christian. Some of you people are Fruit Loops. I'm serious. It's ridiculous. And you argue while sitting there broke. That's what's weird. You know, these broke people run around with these passionate opinions. And you know, it's a Dr. Phil moment. How's that working for you? Maybe it's time to change. All of us have to look up and say, at some point, I've had enough. That's it. I've had it. I'm not living like this anymore. I'm done. And that happened to me when I went broke because I was stupid. I mean, I got a PhD in DUMB. I've done stupid with zeros on the end. I know exactly what it looks like. I know how it feels to be so scared you can't breathe. Your lights are cut off. Your water's being cut off. They're going to foreclose on your house. And you got 2 little kids living there. My wife would have left, but she didn't have the money. I mean, we were fighting like hillbillies, man, because we are. You know, it was crazy. It was out of control. I know how that feels. Some of you are there right now, and I'll never pick on you for being there right now. I'll never pick on you based on your income. I'll never pick it, but I will pick on you for continuing to argue about staying in stupid. If you're stuck on stupid, don't call me and want to argue with me about that. It won't be good for you because I'm going to bust you for your own good. Because you got to get unstuck, man. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. If the set of behaviors about handling money, your viewpoints, your big-time philosophies about money have brought you to where you are and you don't like where you are, you probably need some new ideas, darling. And maybe you need to get off your high horse if you're broke and quit telling everybody how smart you are about money, because the fruit in your life says you're not. It says you're stupid. I've been stupid. I know how it feels. It causes you to be broke. So just decide which way you want to live. That's what's interesting about this show for 25 years. These things have never changed. The only thing that's changed is I'm a whole lot more blunt than I used to be. I've probably got less patience. I'm still fairly patient with somebody that's hurting, but I got less patience with somebody who wants to be broke and stupid and argue about it. It's just dumb to me. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why I reach over on Twitter occasionally and just knock the crap out of somebody just because it's fun. The funny thing happens is this whole process of deciding you're going to take care of your money. Now, some of us are nerds. I mean, even before I did this stuff, I would sit down. Y'all remember the old checkbook registers? Any of you old enough to remember old checkbook registers in the back of your checkbook before there was the web and before there was the internet? And you would write down, you know, every check, and then you would, with your bank statement, there was a physical paper bank statement with the actual physical checks would come in the mail each month. And you would check off the checks in the statement and make sure that the right amount was charged, the amount that you had written down, and you would physically reconcile with like a calculator. That's what they had, these things called calculators back then. Physically reconcile your checkbook and really know what was going on. I'm the guy that did that from the time I was 16 on. I'm that big a nerd. I really am. And some of you did that. Now, I mean, with the internet and, you know, you can online banking, you can balance your checkbook in about reconcile your checkbook in about 30 seconds now. It doesn't take time at all. It's very, very fast to do. People don't even realize they're doing it hardly anymore. But it's a good exercise. But I was that nerd. Most people are not that nerdy. I mean, I had yellow pad lists. I always had a list before there was a budget. There was even a list, and always sweating it, worrying about it, fretting over it. Most people don't do that. Most people have an experience like that last caller. They're going along. In the South, we call it ditty bopping. They're just ditty bopping along, kind of in a phase, kind of in a haze, kind of foggy, but everything's good as long as there's no bumps in the road. There's no reason to steer the car different. We're just rolling along here, and then something happens. There's a big layoff at work. They didn't get you, but they're probably going to get you next time. Transmission goes out on the car. Aunt Henrietta dies halfway across the United States. You got to buy an airline ticket, and you don't have any money to go to the funeral. You want to buy a house. That was the last call, right? Something happens that goes, I probably ought to look at this money thing. I need to pay attention. I'm going to start paying attention. And the first thing that happens is you kind of start making these lists in your mind. You don't really write them down because you're not as nerdy as me. But the fog starts to clear and you start to go, you have an oh crap moment, don't you? Like, oh crap, this is a mess. Oh no, I got debt. Last caller, I got $6,000 in collections. And there's this oh no moment, right? And you kind of get the sweat going. You remember the sweat, usually like right above your lip, a little bit in the palm of your hand, sometimes a little bit right above your eye. Your eyes dilate, your heart rate increases, and you're like, oh, crud, I got a problem here. This is like grown-up stuff. I'm going to actually have to pay attention. That's the first thing that happens is you realize there is a problem. That is the best day of your financial life if you let it be. My dad used to say 90% of solving a problem is realizing there is one. You ever meet people who have misbehavior in their lives, but they're not self-aware enough to know it? They don't even know there's a problem. They're oblivious. They're unconscious about life and about their problem. They're never going to fix it because they don't even think there's a problem. They don't know there's a problem. It's the same way with your finances. You're not going to fix it until you know there's a problem. The best thing can happen is you go, there's a problem. Oh my gosh, there's a problem. Then you start to realize, I'm the problem. It's my fault. No one did this to me. I'm not a victim. It's my fault. Well, unless you want to play the victim. And if you want to play the victim, you can always go, I'm a poor millennial. I have student loans and the society is taking advantage of me. Or you can play all that crap. But most people just go, it's my fault. I screwed up. What am I going to do? And this sense of being overwhelmed is very real. Changes your heart rate. It stresses your butt out. That is awesome as long as you do something about it. Because if that's in psychology, they call that dissonance. And if that inconsistency, that dissonance in your life says, I'm going to move away from this pain towards something that fixes it, you will move towards doing your budget. And when you do your first budget, you will have this release moment, like you breathed in cool mountain air, like a sigh. Because when you do your budget and you really detail everything out, very seldom are things as bad as they felt when you didn't know the details. Not knowing the details is a monster in the closet. The boogeyman is in the closet, and he's never really there as bad as you think he is. Now, some people discover it's worse than they thought it was, but very few. Most people, when they write it all out, I mean, that lady made $80,000 a year. She had $15,000 in debt. I mean, you guys listen to this show. That's just nothing. I mean, people pay that stuff off in 20 minutes listening to the show. But she was completely freaked out in the corner, like, oh, God, this is so bad, because she hadn't moved to that next step yet of writing it all out in detail, combing the tangles out of the hair. And when you do that, you're going to discover we've got the money to fix this. And when you do that first budget, that's why I always tell people you feel like you got a raise. And the reason is you feel like there's not enough money when you're overwhelmed. You feel like, oh, we're stuck. Oh, my gosh. Oh, we're going to die. And you go into the drama queen mode, right? But as soon as you do the budget, it all calms down. It's like, I think we can do this. I think we make enough money. Where's all the money going? all we got to do is stop doing this and stop doing this and sell this, and all we got to do is this, and you have all we got to do moments all through the thing, right? All we got to do is, and it's readily apparent to you, people with common sense right there, as soon as you write it down and you do that budget. You feel like you got a raise because you can see how you're going to get traction to win. There's a phrase going around, the new phrase the cool kids use, I'm adulting, where adult has become a verb. Being an adult as a verb. I'm adulting. Have you seen that? Yeah, it's a cool way of saying I used to be a child and now I'm going to act like I'm a grown-up, even though I've been walking around a grown-up body for maybe a decade. Now I'm adulting. But that's all it is you're deciding I'm going to be grown up. I'm going to take responsibility for my actions, my future, my destiny, and even my past. I'm going to put it behind me with a plan, and I'm going to execute on the plan. This is why Every Dollar, the app, is exploding, because it's giving people the power to do that. If you're really ready to get control, the first step is you have that oh crap moment. And then the second step is you begin to do away with the anxiety that comes with that moment by laying out a plan. A detailed, nerdified plan. The good news is we've been doing this so long, it only takes you about 10 minutes on Every Dollar. You do all this with like 19 yellow pads and stacks of bills on your, all over your kitchen table, you're just going to get more and more and more stressed out. But jump on Every Dollar. It's designed to help you put the thing together quickly and easily. Did I mention it's free? And did I mention that there's 3 million people out there that seem to know something some of you don't know? Don't wait until you have an oh crap moment. Just decide, I'm going to adult. Or see, I used it as a verb. Did you see I did that? That's pretty good. I'm going to adult. I'm going to get on Every Dollar. I'm going to be a grown-up.